actually equipped with that ability. It's so easy to do that nowadays, to put out information online and inspire other people to make a difference. Now, if that is not your thing, and if you want to engage in activities publicly, every year there is an event called the International Coastal Cleanup. Every day, twice a day, the high tide brings in new trash from all over the region. A lot of this trash is not just from Singapore, it's from Vietnam, it's from China. And the trash from Singapore also gets blown off into the Eastern Pacific. So our trash is really moving all over the world. And we need people out there every day to do these cleanups. So that's all the time I have, and I hope you have some questions. Thank you very much. This is a sea slug, by the way. Yes.
The dolphin, how far out?
About 45 minutes out. Yeah. If I show you the map again. So the dolphins. Okay, this is better. So this is Sentosa, right? The dolphins are sighted in these areas. In these areas, around here, all around here. Yeah, and the turtles, they nest in these areas and further east on the east coast, Jurong Island. This here is Jurong Island extension. Yeah, and here, which is slightly cut off, is Sudong Island. The local guys should know Sudong, Pawai, and Senang. These are all reefs, underwater reefs that you see here. Yeah, so the dolphins fish in these areas. Oh, and I think earlier Adeline asked, how do you get to Pulau Hantu, right? You can actually charter your own boat from any of the marinas, any of the southern marinas. So that's Keppel Marina, Republic of Singapore Yacht Club, or Marina Bay Marina. Or you can take a boat taxi. Yes, we have boat taxis in Singapore. At Pasir Panjang, it's about $40 one way per boat. So you just go there and then you tell the guy, I want to go to which island. He'll send you there and then he'll ask you your pickup time, and then he'll go back there to pick you up at the end of the day. You can actually camp on Pulau Hantu as well. You just need a permit from Sentosa Development Corps. It's free. You just need a permit so they know that you're there in case there's an accident or anything. Yeah, and there's water facilities and camping facilities on the island. So there are many ways to enjoy Pulau Hantu, underwater and on land. Yeah.
What about the, because there's so much boat traffic, does that affect the marine life? How does it affect
There are several ways. One is, so with mammals, things like noise really frighten them off. Generally for things like fish and coral, they're okay. One of the main ways boats damage our coral reef is when they drop their anchor, when they deploy their anchor. If the person who is driving the boat is not very aware of the topography of the landscape, oftentimes we have boats dropping their anchors directly onto the coral reef, dropping off their passengers onto the coral reef, who walk on their shoes, over the coral reef. Or what also happens is boats anchor themselves too close to the reef, and then when the tide goes down, the boat actually lands on the reef. This is one of the most devastating accidents that can happen, and it actually happened on the west side of the reef over here. A boat docked itself here, and when the water went down during the low tide, the whole boat was on the reef, and the whole reef was destroyed. The reefs in Singapore actually have, over decades, learned to cope with very stressful situations, just like us Singaporeans. So we can adapt. For example, they have taken corals from Bali, where water is clean and fresh all the time, and they put them in Singapore, and they die straight away, because they just can't cope with the stress. It's very sudden. But the corals here have learned to cope with this stress. So they actually recover quite fast, and they grow quite fast. One of the fastest growing rates anywhere in the world, if left on its own. But yeah, if a coral colony, huge area, like a huge vessel slams into it, it's really all destroyed. That's one of the main ways boats actually harm the reef. Yeah. Thanks.
How long does a coral...
And thank you for asking a question. Yes, Saad, I'll pass you yours later since you're so far away. Yes.
How long does it take to grow a complete coral?
So like, oh, you know anemones? They can live for like 200 years. Anemones are like trees. If you don't cut it down, it just keeps growing. And the fish, you know, anemones don't die. They die because they are removed or something happened, but on its own it doesn't get old and die. And the corals, like something, I'll get to that silk part. Oh, where is it? It depends on the species. Generally, corals grow about 3 cm a year in diameter. So 3 cm each side, so that's like 5 to 6 cm. Yeah, but it depends on the species. So the soft coral grows much faster than the hard coral because hard coral has to develop its skeleton. So it needs time to build a skeleton. It actually has a skeleton just like us. All these colors that you see is of an organism called zooxanthellae, which lives in the skin of the coral. The skin is actually translucent. So all these colors that we see is the color of the animal living in the skin. So it's like parasites living in our skin kind of thing. So as you can see, soft coral doesn't have a skeleton. It's translucent. You can see right through it. Yeah, so these grow much faster. But generally, anything huge, you know, is over 100 years old. Anything that is as big as me is over 100 years old. Yeah. So all you need is one boat to slam into it, and there goes 100. It takes a long time to regenerate. Yeah. Thanks. So for those, any more questions? Thank you. Sorry?
How do we go dive there?
Okay, how do we go dive there? Well, there is me. I think if I put it here, right? Yeah, this is my website. It's called pulauhantu.org, and we run monthly dive trips to Pulau Hantu. If you want to go on your own, there are other companies that go there, but I wouldn't know about their rates or their frequency. Yeah, but generally I would suggest that if you would like to experience Pulau Hantu, please join us for a dive. We are a volunteer-run organization. All the money that we collect from the dive trips goes into our educational projects. We do road shows regularly with other environmental organizations. We are also working together with organizations like Shell, Marine Port Authority, and Parks. So these are the things that you don't see when you come out diving with us, but we are constantly working throughout the year with various organizations and statutory boards on trying to maintain the health of our reef, and also feedback to them, you know, what are the thoughts and feelings of the people who are using the reef. Yeah. Who asked that question? Oh, okay, you get button 2. Any more questions? Yes?
The videos that you take with the cuttlefish, for example, how deep was that?
Cuttlefish was only about 9 meters, 12 meters. Yeah. A lot of the great stuff that you see at Hantu is all above 20 meters. Yeah. This is actually because of the high siltation. So the siltation meaning the sunlight doesn't penetrate so deep. So the corals generally grow from 20 meters onwards in very clear waters, like, you know, off the coast of Bali. Not all places in Bali, but off the coast of Bali. The water is so clear that you get coral reefs that are below 60 meters. Yeah. But one of the misconceptions that often happens with the waters in Singapore is that people look at it and it looks murky, so they think it's dirty, but actually it's not. It's just sand that is floating in the water. It's not dirt. And the water is also slightly green because it's nutrient rich. And that's why there are so many animals that live here. So the animals are actually the right indicator of the water quality, not the water itself. You have healthy coral reefs, you have lots of animals living, that means the quality is okay. You know, if the water looks bad and there's, for example, I've been to certain parts of China where the water is so clean and everything is dead. There is not a thing that is alive in it. So yeah, the water itself is not a measure of the quality of the water, how it looks. Yeah. And scientists are actually going out to sea twice a month to monitor the water quality in Singapore. Yeah, so it's very heavily monitored. Yep, thank you for your question. Any more questions? No. Thank you very much. My pleasure.